Greetings. We are here at the United Nations to commemorate the first anniversary of the Paris Climate Agreement that took place on December 12, 2015.
We're also here to ask President Obama to release the $2.5 billion of our commitment to this climate agreement. Congressional approval is not needed. Once released, the following president cannot change or touch it.
Go online for the Corporate Accountability International's petition and action kit. That is www.stopcorporateabuse. And I'm Joel Kupferman from the New York Environmental Law and Justice Project and the National Lawyers Guild Environmental Justice Committee. If Obama does not give this money as promised, he's going to leave more vulnerable those on the front line, the water defenders, the land protectors that are out there in the face of future land grabs, resource grabs, and rising sea and increased heat waves. He has a moral obligation to keep this word up, especially in face of the forthcoming administration. I also represent a group called Environmental Justice Initiative for Haiti, and it's countries like Haiti that have been devastated by cholera, floods, and hurricanes and earthquakes. The $2.5 billion is a paltry sum for the United States, a drop in the bucket for the vast amount of budget that we spend on the military and other unnecessary costs. A little bit of money going to Haiti will possibly lead to the planting of thousands of acres of trees, which will slow down the climate change, give these people food, shelter, and a decrease from the ever increasing sun. Thank you.
And I'm Nancy Lorence from the Metro New York Catholic Climate Movement. I like to refer to Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si, Care of Our Common Home, when talking about environmental issues. And on this particular issue, Pope Francis says, when talking about a social approach to the ecological problems, we must always hear the cry of the poor as well as the cry of the earth. Okay, and he goes on to say that we have an ecological debt. Those of us in the first world have been the ones who have been producing most of the CO2 and the methane gas that's in the atmosphere and causing global warming. And Pope Francis says because of that, we have an ecological debt to those countries who have least produced those greenhouse gases and who are confronting the effects of climate change with the fewest resources to be able to do that. So again, we're talking about drought, we're talking about floods, we're talking about increased hurricanes, etc., that produce catastrophic problems for third world countries. Pope Francis goes on to say, the warming caused by huge consumption on the part of some rich countries has repercussions on the poorest areas of the world, especially Africa, where a rise in temperature together with drought has proved devastating for farming. And the developed countries ought to help pay this debt by significantly limiting their consumption of non-renewable energy and by assisting poorer countries to support policies and programs of sustainable development. Both the Catholic Relief Services and the U.S. bishops have written to Congress in support of the Green Climate Fund. And knowing that, and knowing what Pope Francis has said in the encyclical, we in the New York Metro Catholic Climate Movement support this effort, support this petition of Corporate Accountability International to urge President Obama to release the $2.5 billion of our commitment.
My name is Skopic. I'm an artist, teacher, and activist environmentalist working with several groups: the Interfaith Moral Action on Climate, the People's Climate Movement New York, Sierra Club New York City Group. I am here today to identify the problem we all know: global climate change. Solution: you, me, all of us working together, because we need to work for the establishment of renewable energy so that we can get rid of fossil fuels, methane, and nuclear energy. There is one small thing you can easily do right now at home online. You can get on the Corporate Accountability International website, go to the petition and sign on. It's very, very important that President Obama release the $2.5 billion that he placed and can have access to in the State Department funds. Congressional approval will not be needed. So if President Obama sends this out while he is still in office, that our commitment will be fulfilled. It's not only important for us to keep our moral obligation, but this also sets an example for the other nations of the world. We all need to keep in mind that those nations, those countries that did the least to cause climate change are suffering the worst effects. The Maldives, the SIDS, the small island states are literally losing their land because of ocean rising. And right here in our own nation, the Inuit and others out in Alaska, because of the melting permafrost, have had to relocate their whole villages and are losing their cultures. It's a problem, as Joel mentioned. It's only getting worse. So at this time, in fact, at Marrakesh for COP22, there was even increased interest in maintaining our momentum to stop global warming, to make our contributions, our commitments, to uphold them. And we know President Obama has done wonderful things for the environment, would like to maintain his environmental legacy. Please get online, ask him to send this $2.5 billion out now. And another thing you can do is get on the organizational petition. Any of you that are members of organizations, ask your organizations to also sign the petition urging President Obama to do this. It's so important. It's only a tiny thing, but it can have a big impact. Thank you for your cooperation. Peace.